Welcome back to Sustainably Selling from Seed to Jar. My name is Candace, and today I'm going to talk to you about preserving your harvest through a method called home canning. Now, you've probably heard about water bath canning, pressure canning. You're not quite sure what they mean or what the process is. I'm going to walk you through them today, but I'm actually going to tell you about 3 types of home canners. We have the traditional water bath canner, pressure canner, and a steam canner. This is probably the one that most people are familiar with. It's the one that your grandmother probably did a lot of. This one is called a water bath canner because it actually just uses water. It's a boiling water method. Has a rack inside. It's just a regular pan with a rack inside. The rack holds the jars off of the bottom of the pan so that they don't, you don't want them ever sitting on the bottom of the pan because they can get too hot and crack. So this sits up here like so. You fill your jars. You put them in. You fill the water up about a little over halfway to this mark here. Once you put the jars down, the water level is going to rise up, and you want it to cover the jars by at least an inch. Okay. You're going to bring it to a rolling boil, and then it's going to process for, depending on the size of the jars, for anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes. This method is good for foods that have high acid, such as tomatoes, jams and jellies, salsas, chutneys, different fruits, things like that. Pressure canner can also double as a water bath canner. So if you have one of these, you can use it the same way you use this one, you just don't tighten the lid. This is a steam canner, and steam canning was actually just recently approved by the USDA, and as a home canning method, a safe home canning method. So this is actually a food. This actually works pretty much the same as this, except it uses a whole lot less water. It's a lot lighter. You don't have to lug these big old pots of water around, especially after they're filled with jars. They get pretty heavy. This one is kind of a combination because it builds up this, well, let me show you what's inside of it first, and then we'll get to that. So in this steam canner, as well as the water bath counter, these are the kind of things that you can process in it. All things that are higher acid. Pizza sauce, raspberry preserves, well, any kind of fruit preserves really, not just raspberry, but these happen to be raspberry. Barbecue sauce, salsa, tomato soup, pineapple rings, applesauce, cinnamon applesauce, fruit juices. This one happens to be apple grape. And then I have just regular grape juice where I actually used the actual grapes and processed it and let them sit so that the juice actually leached out of the grape. Those are all kinds of things that are safe to use in a water bath canner as well as a steam canner. So anything that you've previously processed in a water bath canner can be processed in this now. this is a little bit different. Let me move this out of the way. So this is going to go on your stove. You're going to fill it with water only up to the level of the rack. Your jars go in, and say you had 7 jars. It'll fit 7 quart jars. These are quarts, pints. These are both pints. This is a half pint. Okay, so obviously if you had half pints, there's going to be a lot more that'll fit. 7 of these will fit. You're going to fill it up, put it in. This has a dial gauge on here to tell you where to keep the pressure. So you're gonna just put the lid on. After you put the water in, you're gonna put the lid on, the jars in, lid on, and you're gonna heat it up until it gets into that range, into the green area on here. And I don't know how well you can see that, but there is like different colors on there. So once it's in the green range, that's the normal, that's like the hot heat range for the steam. This is just going to sit on here, and you're going to keep it in that range for whatever processing time your recipe says. A lot of recipes are 15 minutes. So this, a lightweight, after you open it up, your jar lifter, so easy to take out the jars rather than reaching into this big old heavy pot over here. Practice everything out of the water, and then taking them out. So much easier with this. And then after the jars are all out, so much easier just to move it and dump it in the sink. Plus, we've been in a drought for years in California, so being able to use less water, that's a big plus too. So this is a pressure tank. It's pretty heavy, especially when it's filled up with water and jars. So the difference in a pressure canner from the other 2 canners, this is used to cook low acid foods. You could still process high acid foods in it if you needed to or wanted to. It won't hurt them, but they don't have to cook as long, so you really don't have to use this. You can use this though if you would like as a regular water bath counter. Like I said, instead of locking the lid down, you would just leave it open, just sit it on top. Don't lock it. You can actually take the weight off so that some of the steam will come off and it doesn't build up a lot of pressure in there. So this counter, it's a pressure counter, and the way it works is it locks in. The lid locks on. It's got a rubber gasket. When it's turned on and heated, pressure builds up inside. It blows all the air out of this little vent hole. And after you let it vent for about 10 minutes, once the steam starts coming out, you let it go for about 10 minutes to make sure all the air is pushed out. And then this little weight goes on top of that hole to close it off. Then the pressure stays inside the pot. This dial, as the pressure builds up, this dial will start moving up, and then you need to keep it in a certain pressure range depending on your altitude. For me, my altitude, I'm just a little bit above sea level. I think I'm about 500 and some feet. So for me, the pressure would be 11 pounds of pressure. So I would keep it just right about here. I would keep the heat to where it just kept the pressure right about there. So in this counter, we're using it for low acid foods. What are low acid foods? Any kind of meat, anything that has meat in it. Soups, stews, roasts. You can count beef. This is actually ground beef, taco meat, seasoned, ready to go. I made this. All I have to do is open it and heat it up, and I got tacos. Pork. Chicken breast. Any kind of chicken. Any kind of chicken meat. Poultry. Any kind of poultry. Gotta be pressure canned. Pastrami. Any kind of beef. Pressure can. This counter has a rack inside, so I could do 2 levels. I would not usually do large jars and the quart and the pints at the same time. It's just for this video. This is a chicken pot pie filling. It's got chicken meat and vegetables in it in a broth. Has meat. It has green beans and peas and carrots, which are low acid vegetables, potatoes. So it's got to be pressure canned. Turkey chili. Again, low acid. Has to be pressure canned. Well, even though the chili does have some peppers and stuff in it, which are a little bit of acidic, it doesn't have enough acid to count it safely. Potatoes, very low acid, almost none. Gotta be pressure canned. Swedish meatballs in broth. They're pressure canned. That up there is just the fat that rose up and solidified, and that actually is a second protective barrier. Pot roast. You can see it's got meat, celery, potatoes. There's some carrots in there. Some carrots down there. Pressure can. Pozole. Pozole is made with chilies and green chilies, green tomatillos, chicken, hominy. Gotta be pressure can. So you can see, it's a lot of variety of foods that you can can. If you want it done safely, you don't want to die, you have to can it accordingly. You have to use the right kind of counter for the food that you're canning. High acid foods are safe in a water bath counter or a steam counter. Low acid foods and meats have to be pressure canned. Now you can always use tested recipes, and by tested I don't mean your friend did it so it's safe. I mean they should be done from the USDA food service. It should be tested by the USDA food service or Ball Blue Book. They have done a lot of testing. They actually have a cookbook out with the recipes and all the safe canning methods. You should always follow the safe canning methods. If you don't, botulism is no joke, and you can get really sick and you can even die, so not a good idea. There are a lot of good canning recipes out there. A lot of good canning recipe books. And, yeah. So, alright, I just lost my train of thought. I went totally blank. Anyway. Safe and happy canning. So safety is a big priority when canning your own food. But done safely, you can have all of this. No preservatives. Fresh from your own trees and your vines and your bushes from your own backyard. No preservatives, no additives, no GMOs. They taste better than store-bought. I really do think that they have more nutrient value. I don't care what they say. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? It just looks good. You know where it came from. You know what's on it. There's no pesticides. There's no chemicals. There's no GMOs. Lord knows what those are. Haven't been around long enough to actually know what they are capable of doing to us. We already know what preservatives, and we know it's not good. Anyway, stay safe, have fun, and enjoy.